It's not going very well for Graham Potter at Chelsea all of a sudden, but that might be all about to change because they've just signed Joao Felix, one of the most exciting players in world football, on loan for about 4 months for 11 million euros plus his wages. Quite a lot of money for a short-term gain, but will they get short-term gain out of him? What's he actually do? What sort of player is he? Why has he not worked at Atletico Madrid? Why is he available for loan if he's one of the most expensive transfers in the world of all time? Where is he going to go into Graham Potter's team? What does he even look like? It's kind of hard to work out. So let's have a look at what kind of player Joao Felix is, what we know Joao Felix to be. This is where Joao Felix has played for Atletico Madrid in the 21-22 season, not this season, but the one before. As you can see, it's mostly as a striker. He can play as a number 10 or as a left winger, all these sorts of deep positions here. But the thing with Joao Felix is he's not a goal scorer, he's not a number 9. The most goals he ever scored in a season was 15 for Benfica before he made the big move to Atletico. But since then, the most he's ever scored in a season for Atletico in the league is 8. That's the most he's ever scored, never gone past that. In the World Cup, he played 4 games for Portugal, 1 goal, 2 assists. Because the thing is, this guy is very much a playmaker, and we see it in more data. You can see that he's often receiving the ball wide left, bit like a winger, but the season before, lots of deep areas because he wants to try and get hold of the ball and make things happen. And that's why his data shows that he's a playmaker. He's very much a guy who makes things happen with the ball, not in the box. He's in the last phase of play before they get into the final bit. So if you look here, he's very good at keeping the ball because he's amazing at dribbling and carrying it. So when he gets the ball, he's got tricks, he's got awareness of where players are and knows what space to be in, to be able to take the ball past people. But his progressive passing is the really important bit to note here. Doesn't receive the ball in the opposition box a lot, doesn't have an awful lot of XG from shot creation, doesn't score that much. He's often on the bench for Atletico, this is the other thing as well. And the reason that's thought to be is that it's to do with Diego Simeone's defensive demands. So he's a very demanding manager, Simeone. You see him on the touchline. He looks like an angry boy. But what he wants from his team is total disciplined committal to this. It used to be a 4-4-2, but they changed the shape quite a lot. Basically, they want to defend very deep, block all the space, and attack quickly and be clinical with great players. And Joao Felix is meant to be one of the creative avenues of that, but it hasn't quite worked for him. So if we know he's a playmaker, and we know that he's not really a central striker, because that's not what he does, where does he fit into the Chelsea team? How's Graham Potter going to use him? Potter has tried a few different systems so far at Chelsea, he keeps changing it. It was a 4-2-3-1 he played in the 1-0 defeat to Man City. He started the game against Man City, he lost 4-0 with a kind of Christmas tree, a 4-3-2-1 formation. He's tried back threes, he's tried loads of different things. But generally, you know, you're going to have a number 9. That's probably going to be Kai Havertz, because Felix, he's not that. So Havertz is most likely to be the number 9, because Aubameyang got subbed on, subbed off, that's bad. Havertz is the number 9, but Havertz likes to drop deeper as well, so maybe he could dovetail with Felix if he were to play somewhere around here. But Havertz is 9. Then Mount, you want to play as number 10, maybe off the left, possibly, around these sorts of areas. But recently, Pulisic has been the wide left. Raheem Sterling is the only real player they've got up front who can really get in behind, because when you think of his alternative, Hakim Ziyech, he likes to drop deep. We saw for Morocco in the World Cup, likes to drop deep, get the ball in these areas, and then help to create a bit like Felix does. Starts wide, goes inside, whereas Sterling will maybe start wide, get in behind, often scores his goals at the back post, that sort of area. So quite useful to have if you've got players like Havertz dropping deep. Sterling maybe starts in this right wing, even though that transfer's not looked amazing so far, and he's even played at wing back. Doesn't really matter. So Pulisic is the only option on the left side if you want to get Mason Mount in the team as a number 10. And I think it's the most likely starting position to fit him into what you want from Chelsea, because you get defensive work from Mount that you don't get from Felix. He goes out. Felix can start in this wide left area, come inside to attack these sort of positions around here, but also get inside to be around the striker. As we know, he likes to be dropping to all these sort of positions to receive the ball, mostly from a left sort of sided position, whether that's through choice or through what Simeone's told him, that's fine. Because you know that the wide left for Chelsea is going to get forward an awful lot, whether it's Cucurella or one of the injured players like Chilwell, someone like that. Same thing on the right, you'll get Reece James, really important for Chelsea, how they progress the ball, but also how they get chances from wide areas. He can come inside the pitch as well to join the midfield. He's been injured quite an awful lot. There's the thing, if you get Felix in the team, you'll get a bit less defensive work than you might want. It's not without evidence that he's been anti-Simeone and Simeone's been anti-him for an awful lot. Playmakers like to make things happen, not stop them, and that's one of the things Felix does. And if he's in this position, that'll really help Chelsea out an awful lot in certain situations, because where Pulisic can run and dribble through players in tight spaces, what Felix does very much, as we saw from his Smarter Scout profile, is that he can pass the ball to help other players get into positions. So he likes to be in tight spaces, surrounded by players, and he can ping a pass from somewhere, whether he drops deep to do it or whether he gets involved in a little block at the top end of the pitch. Here he is, progressive passing. Here's Christian Pulisic, none. No progressive passing, lots of dribble and link-up volume carry. And this is the thing, like Pulisic will get far more into the box as a left forward, whereas what you have with Joao Felix, he's very much a playmaker who's playing in an advanced position. So you might think of him as a traditional number 10, but he's more of like a second striker. There's players in the past like Roberto Baggio, Romario, Dennis Bergkamp, similar sort of player. It's largely going out of fashion because teams stopped playing 4-4-2. And you can't also rely on a playmaker creatively to play that number 10 position. Maybe Mesut Ozil, that sort of thing. A player who's just there to create but not do an awful lot of defensive stuff. It's not a thing you can get, and Graham Potter's teams tend to be very good at stopping players from getting past them, and well, not now at Chelsea, it's not working very well. But the thing you will get from Joao Felix if he plays this Chelsea team in the positions that suit him best is he does things that other players just wouldn't think of doing, and he can execute them because his technique is absolutely brilliant. There's a reason he's one of the most expensive players of all time. So examples, here's him playing for Atletico Madrid, and here's the ball going to come through into the box. Now, if he was a goal scorer, as soon as this ball comes in, you take a hit first time, try and score. That's what a goal scorer would do. Instead, he has the awareness and the vision, the creativity and technique to run into that space and just backheel it blindly. No one knows where he's going because he's looking this way, knowing that Antoine Griezmann is making that run into this highly valued space here where you're more likely to score. Take a shot from here, you got this angle. It's quite hard to score against goalkeeper from there, but here, much higher chance of scoring. Bang, that's the goal from Antoine Griezmann, the assist from Joao Felix. Here he is dropping deep for Portugal into midfield position. So talking more like the playmaker, more like that Messi sort of thing, dropping from a deep area into this area here. Then he looks up, has the vision to see runners, can ping a ball over the top, his technique's fantastic, and then you've got, so this could be Raheem Sterling running in behind, this could be Kai Havertz making a run in behind, and then you get the ball over the top so they can get in behind to be able to try and create a chance to score. It's another thing that you get other players don't do. And then when you're trying to break on the counter, get out, so Chelsea have been struggling to progress the ball out from the back recently. It's one of the big problems they've had. John McKenzie's going to do a video on that and other problems that Graham Potter's had at Chelsea quite soon on the channel. So subscribe so you can see that when that happens. But right here, right now, if Chelsea want to break out from the back, and they do, you need players who can make things happen with little bits of skill to maybe try and make that happen. So here's Felix about to receive the ball with his back to this player. Doesn't want to get too tight. Defenders know that Felix can turn them really easily. He's brilliant on the ball. Ball comes in here. It's a really clever backheel flick. Again, blind. He's just trying to deceive the defender by looking a different way and acting like something else is happening. That ball comes off the defender. He then wins a rebound. We'll give him it. Runs through, that's Atletico away in the counter-attack, really crucial, the kind of thing that Pulisic probably wouldn't try. He'd receive it with the ball, his back to the defender, try and pass it backwards, forces it back and plays a bit slower. That one trick gets him round, he can go, and he's quick as well. And then, as we talked about his defensive limitations maybe, the weaknesses he got, and the reason that Simeone is like slyly called him out and said he doesn't do the defensive work, he does know how to help lead a press, like he's a good player off the ball and on. And we can see it in this example, it's a small example against Cadiz. Now, he's going to lead the press here as part of one of the two strikers. So Atletico has started playing a 4-4-2 again recently, and Felix has been in the team. They've tried to maybe keep him before they know he's going to sell him. So ball comes back from a throw-in to this defender. Felix triggers the press and chases it back. So the ball goes backwards to this defender, and then Felix continues his run, and he makes a curved run from here to make sure that the goalkeeper has to put the ball this side, knowing that this teammate will push in to stop that from happening, knowing that this defender here is going to push up and get tight to this player here, man-to-man all over the pitch, because they want to force the ball long from the goalie so that Atletico win the ball back, and then they can get forward and play, and then he can start to have more fun. Like we said, he has more fun playing for Portugal than Atletico Madrid because he has more of the ball and he's able to do things and be a bit freer. But here, leads the press, pushes it back. The goalie then makes a mistake trying to pass back out to this guy, but the curved run catches him out, wins the ball, turns, easy goal for Joao Felix. One of his goals for the season so far, he's not scored that many, he's only had 7 starts, 7 sub-appearances. But that's the thing, it's to do with the manager not getting what he wants from Joao Felix, even though Joao Felix probably suits a manager who would give him far more freedom to be able to do things. If Graham Potter can give him that defensive support around him to allow him to express himself and be free in that midfield, and whether he suits playing amongst all these different players, it might be one of the signings of the season. He's a brilliant player, really fun to watch. We should enjoy watching him in the Premier League, and he could help Chelsea in the final third more than many other players possibly could in world football. So yes, it is a good signing, and I think it'll be great. I think it will. But then I also thought Graham Potter would do really well straight away. We'll find out soon. Subscribe to the channel. Goodbye.
If you like this video, please consider subscribing to the channel. The Athletic is where the Ralph Rangnick to Manchester United story broke, where a team of journalists have provided unrivaled coverage of Newcastle United's new ownership, and where dedicated writers cover every Premier League team no matter their place in the table. And you can try it free now for 30 days.